I think they've sort of hit a rut. Maybe this, I'm trying to think of a way, if you're a Steelers fan, maybe there is some way this goes the opposite way.
Sorry. I'm just thinking like they're having a baby to save the marriage.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus channel presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana, Dan Fetes. I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And welcome to our debut episode of The League presented by Stellar Roofing, Windows, and Siding. Mike, why don't you kind of explain what we got going on here?
All right, so listen, I've covered the Bills. I've covered the NFL for like 100 years. I like to talk.
You said it. You said it, not us.
Yes, and there are issues going on sometimes in the league. And this is not to say we cover the Buffalo Bills on a regular basis. We are going to do 90% of our content is Buffalo Bills, but do want to take some time and have some opportunities to talk about things in the league involving the Bills and other teams and things that are going on, whether it's in the division, in the conference, in the league as a whole. Dan, we had a lot of takes. We need to get them out, and they can't all just be Buffalo-centric.
Yeah, and I think it's also fun to, I think a lot of our viewers are so focused on the Bills, and they think, oh, the Bills are the only team that does this, or they're the only team that has X problem or Y problem, and it's a bigger thing. And we focus so much on the ins and outs on such a micro level for the Bills. It's nice to kind of zoom out and look at the rest of the league, which will be fun.
Yeah, and I think
we said the league a lot.
We did, but I think for today's episode, and I think for a lot of fans, you'll be interested because we're not talking about the Bills exclusively right now, but we're also going to talk about the AFC East, what it looks like for the Patriots right now, for the Jets, for the Dolphins. We're going to get into all of that and kind of the breakdown of where those teams are at. But first, Mike, we have to start with the news of the day on Thursday, and that is Aaron Rodgers going to Pittsburgh.
I don't think it's going to work.
What makes you say that?
I just
Hot
don't.
Take.
No, I think the water carriers around the league, and you know who they are, you know, always with the shield behind them, are going to be, this is awesome. And Rodgers is got a great fit with this team. He's 41 years old. He can still throw the ball pretty well, but we saw what happened with the Jets. I do not think this is a match made in heaven. I think it is a guy who was desperate for a team and a team who was desperate for a quarterback. It's the way it worked out. Will they have some moments? Sure. Is it better than Mason Rudolph?
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, Garrett Wilson won more than Aaron Rodgers. Okay. So I don't know. Zach Wilson. I say Garrett. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson.
I'm not going to lie. When you said that, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, the wide receiver did.
He did.
He was good.
Zach Wilson did. I'm
First
not,
episode of the league, guys.
and I'm saying this, I see why the Steelers did it. He made them sit there and wait for a while, and maybe you guys feel differently.
I don't even understand the allure of what is left of a Hall of Fame quarterback. Like, this is watching him last year, and I just didn't even see anything last year that made me think he's got more left in him. Like, I think that the Jets had a bad offensive line. I think the Steelers have a poor offensive line. I understand the DK Metcalf thing, but like the circus, I thought that the Steelers had more respect and pride as one of these legacy franchises in the NFL, that they were above the sideshow that is Aaron Rodgers. It is stunning to me that they would go down this route when you had Aaron Rodgers pretty much say on McAfee the one time, I don't really care about playing. I don't really need to play. It's not everything to me. We have been in the Bills locker room and covered not only Josh Allen, other quarterbacks that have gotten slim chances. And they say how much this opportunity means to them. Because when you're the quarterback, you're in charge of the livelihood, the money, the careers of everybody around you. And for this guy to be like, well, I don't really need it. I don't know how that message then goes into a locker room and says, come on, guys, let's play for us. And I thought Cam Hayward was the one that said it best, like, figure it out. Either you're in or you're out.
Yeah.
And he still didn't make the decision for 3 more weeks because he wanted more attention.
I agree with you. That being said, I think for the Steelers, they see what you said originally. the future Hall of Famer. Like, I think that his name and what he has done in the past is now giving him this tread for what is going to happen in the future. Now, do I think it will pan out well? No. You could make the excuse, though, that he was coming off the injury last season. He wasn't quite the right fit. He needs it to be different, whatever. But do I expect it to work? No, I do not. But I guess for the Steelers, they kind of backed themselves into a situation where they said they were waiting on Rodgers. They knew he was going to come at some point, but obviously with what they did, they were waiting for this move to be made, and now it happens.
Yeah, you did say waiting because they did wait.
They waited,
like we are now to mandatory camp time. So you can argue that a quarterback who has been in the league for 100 years and has played in the NFL offenses for 2 decades can handle everything, but he hasn't been around this team. Throwing a few balls with DK Metcalf does not get you ready. I think if he really wanted to embrace this, he would have been in the spring. He would have been in with his teammates, and he wasn't.
He doesn't care.
I think that tells you where this guy is. Right? So it's like, I'm coming back. I'm going to play, but I'm not going to
sacrifice.
Yeah, I'm not going to be self-aware enough to say I wasn't good enough in these periods of time. Like I said, I think there'll be moments when a lot of quarterbacks have moments.
Top 5 least self-aware quarterback, at least of the last 5 years.
Oh, I think even beyond that.
Yeah, I don't think that's a strength of his at all.
Yeah.
And like what you're saying too, and like it's why the Jets signed him.
Yeah.
Was because the Jets are a bad team. They are a poorly run organization, and bad organizations make bad decisions. I thought the Jets made the move to try and revitalize the fan base of like, we got Rodgers, guys.
Yeah.
Believe in us. The Steelers are not a fan base that you are supposed to pander to by like, hey, buy some tickets, guys.
Yeah.
Come on. Like they are a football fan base. Maybe top 3 best fan bases in professional football. And for them to be doing this circus charade of like a 1-year deal, you still aren't solving any of your problems that you have with this team moving forward of taking your medicine, stripping it back, rebuilding. Instead, you're rolling out a 40-plus-year-old quarterback that doesn't have it anymore.
I'm very curious as to how the Mike Tomlin thing works out with Rodgers. There's been a lot of lip service about they've known each other. You'll see these clips of them on the field laughing, as some play happened in a game. I just don't see the personalities vibing. I don't see like Mike Tomlin is as old school as it gets, even though he's not that old.
Agreed.
He coaches like he's an older person. I mean, he's in his 50s.
Yeah.
And he's been around forever, and he's had a ton of success because he is a disciplined coach. Now, he needs to grow. He needs to do a little bit more. I think they've sort of hit a rut. I'm trying to think of a way, if you're a Steelers fan, maybe there is some way this goes the opposite way.
Sorry. I'm just thinking like they're having a baby to save the marriage.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, that really is right on the money.
You're my God. I don't know, man. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but.
And saying that, because we cover the Bills, I used to say the Steelers are the organization the Bills want to grow up to be.
Yep.
They have been very structured, loyal, great fan base, right? Old school football, smaller market, like all those things. They are still a lot of those things. They just haven't won a lot. I mean, they've won games. They've gotten in the playoffs. They've been embarrassingly bad in the playoffs in recent years. So I'm going to give them this. I see why they would take a shot. But to your point, the Jets took that shot and it failed miserably. And everybody got fired.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody's gone.
Because of
Rodgers, yes.
Well, and you can't say there wasn't talent on that team either.
Yeah.
There's not that talent on the Steelers offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're all in agreement that we don't think it's going to work.
It's just mind-boggling to me that like this is the minor league sports move of like, hey, come and look at this athlete.
Point.
Look at him. We're going to trot him out there every Sunday. come see the show. You're the Pittsburgh freaking Steelers.
It's why I got mad at the Giants for throwing that Tommy Cutlets out there. I'm not kidding. You're the New York Giants.
Correct.
And
it's
they
a
did
sideshow to a team that is a storied franchise, Super Bowl histories and titles and all of these things. And you're like, we're going to get the guy that is more interested in retreats in ayahuasca than really being the tough nose blue collar football guy. Like Tomlin, we could all joke around about Tomlin and the standard is the standard and all these things, but he is a football guy. I don't see Aaron Rodgers anymore as a football guy.
Yeah.
Football is like secondary to what the first thing I think of when I think of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I think of all the BS that goes on off the field. It's just mind blowing.
Do you think because Tomlin has managed big personalities in the past that he feels more confident?
Ooh, good point.
Jenna. I mean, listen.
Point Jenna.
He has had to deal with most of those weird ones.
Host move.
He's had some real moments at wide receiver.
Flame the fire a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan's not talking for a second. How can I say something that fires him up?
He's had some real dudes at wide receiver that he's dealt with.
Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
I mean, just recently, George Pickens.
Yeah. Like, he's had a lot of guys. Deontay Johnson. Like, he's had players like that. Quarterback-wise, I don't think he's really dealt with that. There was a little bit of Roethlisberger at the end, but if Roethlisberger had been there and been a champion with the Steelers.
Yeah.
And maybe towards the end, it wasn't great. But the other guys have all been like regular guys, like Mason Rudolph and Mitch Trubisky. No, really. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like he's had, Kenny Pickett. That's who he's had at quarterback.
I love this quote from Rodgers. Quote, I wasn't stringing anyone along. I wasn't holding anyone hostage.
Yeah.
Usually you don't have to say that if you're not holding someone hostage.
Can you look up what the Steelers over under win total is?
Oh.
I would put it at, and it's funny because Tomlin's never actually had a losing season. Yeah. So it probably is around 8.5, but I really think that they don't win more than 7 games.
I just have to bring up the Terry Bradshaw quote. Did you say it the other day?
Yes.
He said, Aaron Rodgers needs to stay in California, chew on bark, and whisper to the gods out there. Now, listen.
That's really funny.
Terry's a little out there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he is the legend.
Oh, my God.
Quarterback in Pittsburgh.
The Pittsburgh Steelers finally got their guy.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you want to go ahead. You want to play the song. You want everybody to be that way. They start out with the Jets, which is wild. The Bills play in Pittsburgh this year.
Yep.
We'll see how the division is. Now, the division is, the Ravens are the best team. If the Bengals get anything going on defense, they are certainly a playoff team or a possibility of a playoff team. And the Browns are the Browns. So the Steelers are still in that spot. I guess the idea is that Rodgers moves them up a notch, but we will see.
I just don't think it moves the needle.
Yeah.
I think this is one of those, like, it's a name and that's it.
Yeah.
The name is the Steelers. That's what blows my mind.
Well, no, I'm saying for Aaron Rodgers.
I get that.
Okay.
Just saying, like, the Steelers are the name. Like, they've never been, even when Big Ben was there and Bettis and the greats, James Harrison. Like, I think of, like, the great Steelers, Palomalu. They weren't the team. The team was what.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Like that the Bills, to some respect, the Bills are Josh Allen.
Yeah.
That is the team. It's not Sean McDermott. It is Josh Allen. It wasn't Hyde and Poyer. It was Josh Allen.
And the reason the Bills are so good is they have that guy and they have the culture.
Team. Yep.
It is.
In the culture, yep.
But they have that guy on the top. So it is, it certainly makes them more interesting. Let's face it. It's Aaron Rodgers. People are going to root against him.
And there's some people that'll root for him.
Yes. Some. Yeah, they will. But, the question is.
Hey, as Brandon Bean said, there are idiots everywhere.
And Pittsburgh having to sit and wait. And then Rodgers pretending like this wasn't his only spot. Minnesota didn't want him. All these other teams took other players. Now, maybe Aaron Rodgers is I'm sure somebody's commenting. He's going to prove everybody wrong. It's what they said with the Jets. Even his end of his time in Green Bay went south. So let's see how it plays out.
I'm interested.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yes.
That game I'm excited for in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
All right, let's talk a little bit more then on the league about the Jets. We mentioned them earlier. Obviously, new head coach. Like you said, they gutted essentially everything after the train wreck that was last season. Where do you think the Jets are right now as we head into the start of training camp around the corner?
I really want to set this up with the whole AFC East. I think it's a transition year for them, and I find the Jets and the Patriots to be on similar paths. They were rudderless teams. Robert Saleh was not an effective leader, and Rodgers had a lot to do with it, but it wasn't just Rodgers, and maybe a better roster. Then you've got New England, and it's certainly, with Vrabel in there, it is certainly adult time. Look, the coach was overmatched last year. The end of the time with Belichick was bad. So both of these franchises need to step up. New England last year, would they win 4 games? The Bills gifted them the last one. It cost them the #1 pick. Like, they were a mess at the end. Vrabel gets everybody's attention. They have changed the roster, and they've done it. The same with the Jets. Aaron Glenn, we talk about Rodgers. Aaron Glenn came in and was like, I don't want Rodgers. And Rodgers flew there, made a big point about it. And Aaron Glenn's like, go home.
Go home.
I'm running this place. I love that for them.
Same.
I think both of those teams have at least reset and said, there is an unquestioned leader in both places. It's Aaron Glenn and it's Mike Vrabel. And that's what eventually could make these teams good. Now, it's going to depend on the quarterbacks and everything else that goes with it. But as opposed to being teams that are just like, just trudging along and the Bills just dominating the division, I think this makes them much more legitimate, especially down the line.
Now, talent is a big part of this, but I see the Jets because I do get that vibe kind of from Aaron Glenn. And it's not just because he came there, but you think about, Mike, you talk about direction and leadership and that there's one leader. Aaron Glenn knows New York, played there, all these things like that. It kind of gives me a little bit of Dan Campbell vibes. Now, I'm not saying, and again,
a little bit of that.
And again, when Dan Campbell came to Detroit, they still lost their first 9 or 10 games. Like, they still were a bad team, but you knew who the leader was. I think that's a great point you said. And you had a sense of direction, of an identity that this team is going to be. And I don't think the Jets had that. If we want to start with there, like, I don't think they knew what they wanted to be. They tried to bring in the recycled Hall of Fame, future Hall of Fame quarterback, but I think they want to be more of a defensive team. Like, when they were good with Rex, they played really good defense and they ran the ball. Like, that was it. And I think that they have enough pieces around. That Jets roster is still talented.
Jenna, when you look at their offense, let's hold off on quarterback because we know that's going to be the big thing.
Yeah.
But they do have Wilson at wide receiver. They do have Breece Hall in the backfield. They drafted early on the offensive line. That line needs work. Like, in fairness to Rodgers, like you mentioned, it was not a great offensive line. So they still have Alan Lazard until he's traded to the Steelers, I would guess. But defensively, like, Sauce is a talent. I know a lot of Bills fans you hear because, it's clutching and grabbing and things that he does. Sauce Gardner's a talent. They're going to sign him. He's going to be a long-term guy there. They have some effective players. They still need more work. But I think if you're the Jets, like, you're taking a chance at quarterback and seeing what's happening. But I think it's all about building a program and making them a viable franchise, sort of like the Bills did in 2017, where it was like you had Tyrod, you had some pieces.
You had an adult in the room.
You had an adult.
Yeah.
Rex was gone.
Yeah. And Robert Saleh is not Rex, but just the circus that it became with Rodgers.
He also didn't have the success. Rex did at a time have success.
Yeah.
Saleh never did as a head coach.
I'm really going to miss the all gas, no break.
Yes.
The weirdest tagline ever that was all over that stadium.
I'm for Jets fans, I'm encouraged for the word you used was direction. I'm encouraged for them for that. Then you see how the talent plays out. Did they draft well? They've got the new general manager. Let's see how it plays.
Yeah, that the Bills and Jets will always play intense games. There's a real hatred there. And I think there is
Dion too.
Yeah, like they hate each other. Like there are very few rivalries left. Sometimes I feel like in the NFL between teams, we always talk about the rivalry between the quarterbacks. Yeah. I think there's a real rivalry between the Bills offense and the Jets defense. Like I think that's very real hatred there, which as Mike has always said is good for sports.
It's great for sports.
But yeah, I've always thought there was talent. That's what made me. That was what was the final straw where I was like, there's talent here, and Rodgers isn't making it work. Not saying that we're a perfect team. The offensive line was an issue. They went through 12 different offensive line combinations, like something ridiculous like that. I like the thought of Aaron Glenn. We talked to our friend from SNY, Janae Coakley.
Yeah.
And she's like, he's kind of he's stepping into the room and everybody's sitting up straight because he's the leader.
The Justin Fields thing is going to be interesting to see. He's been given the starting job, right? They're saying he's the guy, even though it hasn't worked out at his first 2 stops. He does have ability. I would say one thing, Jenna.
Is he young?
No, but I heard an interview with him where he took accountability for his role in that. Some of these guys,
he was also dealt a pretty shitty hand in Chicago.
Yes, they were just So it did not work out in Pittsburgh. I honestly think he should have played.
He's 26 also.
Yeah.
But young?
But you listen to him speak.
Just turned 26.
Happy birthday.
Takes ownership, and he has taken accountability for the way things have gone in his career. He wasn't in there going, they were at fault. This was the case. I think they like that. And I also think he is a guy who's realizing
time's running out.
Third shot here, even though he's young. You don't get that many of those. So he's gotten this. So I think there is a reason to be encouraged by the direction the franchise is going, which Jets fans know it isn't said that often.
Yeah. Hoping to get the Sam Darnold bump.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
after a couple stops. Yeah.
Geno Smith, Sam Darnold.
Truly. Yeah. And honestly, it's going to sound silly, but him taking that accountability like that resonates to me. Of like, okay, he seems like an adult. He understands the circumstances of what went wrong. And I feel like only then can you really improve upon what you're going to do.
I looked at his numbers. Like he has been
they don't change.
No, but sometimes they can, but they need self-awareness.
Oh, I thought you were going to say they need prodding to change.
No, hopefully not.
A strong woman behind them.
No. Yeah. What is it? You are the only person that can change your life.
T-shirt time.
That's what my therapist told me.
Oh.
Nothing changes if nothing changes.
Also that, yeah. You are the only one. I mean, obviously,
the main thing.
Are we just gonna do taglines now?
Let's just go.
Dan is wrong.
Oh, wait a minute. What was the one you just said?
Highest ceiling.
No, what was the one? What was the one you just said? What was
you were the only all gas, no brake. Yeah. Which again, dangerous.
It's the way Dan drives.
You do tailgate.
I think,
yeah.
I
don't know, Jim.
I know for a fact. All right, let's talk a little bit more then about the Patriots.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned them, but Drake May, I think they have Stephon Diggs, who was at OTAs earlier on, was in attendance. Dan, I'll start with you. Like, what do you see from them? Because this year does look a lot different.
Vrabel is a big name coach, and there are very few, I think, of those left in the NFL these days. There's just, I think McVay, I don't think Shanahan's that name anymore. Like Andy Reid, like I think Vrabel carries a lot of cachet, and when he shows up back in New England.
You think of Vrabel ahead of Kyle Shanahan?
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan, while he hasn't won, has had a lot of success in the league. More than Mike Vrabel.
At blowing fourth quarter leads.
Well, but he's gotten to the Super Bowl twice, as a coordinator.
Yeah.
I think Vrabel has been that guy that always exceeded the expectations.
Absolutely.
And then it went south. And I think he recognized that. It went south in the end.
I also think Vrabel wanted the full, I think he said, look at what I've done.
Yeah.
I want more power.
Yep.
I want more control. And front office and ownership said, nope, here's the door. And that's a move. I go back to the AJ Brown trade.
Yeah.
Like there are sometimes what did Parcells say? If I'm going to cook the meals, at least let me get the groceries. Like I think for a lot of the time, Vrabel has been dealt crap and has made the best out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gotten his guys to always play over expectations. And I think they have always been one of the most prepared teams, no matter their talent level. They know what they need to do. They come in with a game plan and well prepared. And I think that's a big thing that New England hasn't been. Even at the end of the Belichick years, they weren't a well-prepared team. So I think that's a big, big increase and plus for the Patriots that they still need to work on talent. We always have Giardi on here, and he's like, there's maybe one or two guys that are real players, real dudes. But I think Vrabel, again, has brought in free agents because people have wanted to play for Vrabel, and that's a big thing.
They do. I think they're positioned a little differently than the Jets in this way. I mean, they have drafted their quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He really won one game last year that he finished. The other one, he got knocked out. They ended up winning the game, and he technically got a win in the game.
Was that Brissett came back?
Yeah. So, and then the last game, they technically got a win that he started and didn't play. So he didn't win a lot. He showed flashes of being good. We've covered Stephon Diggs for a while here. He is a talented player. We'll see how he comes back. There's obviously some off the field. Yeah.
Well, no, you can finish your point, and then I have a question about Diggs.
Well, I'm saying there is some talent around him. Thank you. Their offensive line is not good. They have limited depth. They have guys playing a little out of position. Like, that is still an issue for them. That's got to come around big for them. Otherwise, no matter how physically talented Drake May is, I do believe their offensive line is still an issue that may take a little while to get addressed. And I that stuns me sometimes. I watched what you mentioned, Chicago, before. They already knew they screwed that up, and they went out and actively just said, whatever we can do on the O-line. Whereas the Patriots went big in free agency with Milton Williams on the D-line. That's fine. You need both.
Yeah.
But you'd want to help Drake May. I think if anything's going to hold May back this year, it's going to be laying on his back because their offensive line, I just don't see them as being ready to go.
Yeah. What do you think Diggs still has left in the tank?
That's a really good question. I think.
Good job.
Yeah. Wow. Getting a lot of compliments. Also, I
what do you think Diggs has left?
Don't take my line.
You go first, Jenna.
Good question.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah. Do you want to answer?
No, you go first,
I
Jenna.
genuinely, obviously he's past 30 now, coming off the ACL. We know that can take some time for players. It's not just an oil change. We figured that out.
Yeah.
And for sorry, the one shot you said was funny. But I am curious what it will look like for him when he comes back. Some of the like quick cuts, stuff like that, like the agility aspect of where he will be at. And will he look like the Stephon Diggs that we saw in Buffalo? I don't know. I would imagine it might take him a little bit of time to work himself back to that point.
We saw him in Houston last year. They played. He looked really good.
Yeah.
I mean, then he got hurt. Okay, so he comes back from that. I think the worst thing that can happen for a player coming off an injury is people seeing video of him and going, he looks like he'll be ready to go. Then the expectation is a little higher. If I'm New England, I want this guy healthy. I don't want to pretend like he's going to come back week one. Maybe he's active week one. He might be on the PUP list when they get started the season. I think they start out maybe 3 of their first 4 at home. So they've got that part, but you've got to be smart with a player like this. He's a very good route runner, savvy player, but to Jenna's point, that made him the player. The quick cuts and everything that made him that player.
Yeah, like the agility.
Right. We have to see if that is back. And then him working with May. It's a different quarterback that he's working with.
And just if people aren't clear, Mike Giardi tweeted this a couple days ago, but Diggs has not been fully cleared medically as he returns from the ACL he suffered in October.
And I do want to say this because we are in, as we talked with Reed Ferguson on the Buffalo Plus podcast we did earlier, the fact of we are in best shape of your life season.
Yes.
Okay. Every single player offensively looks good in OTAs. They're in shorts and a helmet, and they are running routes 90% of the time against air.
And
like
nobody's going to hit them.
Correct. And it's like people are stunned about basketball players, how they miss that shot. An NBA player in an empty gym, every single NBA player could make 85 threes out of 100. Like, that's just how good they are.
No.
Like,
yeah.
Okay. What?
They can't make 85 out of 100.
You guys are the worst.
Three-point shooters.
Three-point shooters. Okay.
Yes.
And even big men, Dwight Howard.
They can stand there and make shots.
Dwight Howard, who couldn't hit a free throw to save his life at the end of his career, could probably still hit out of 100 threes, would still probably make a lot. I'm gonna cover my ass there. He'd make a lot. Okay?
I looked at the percentages. He made
a lot.
Yeah.
So that's where I get
checks notes.
like this is where ML football and all the accounts are like, look at how good this guy was.
Yeah,
and look at how good this guy was. Everybody looks good right now. So even the videos you see of Diggs looks pretty solid. He's a professional athlete that is running routes and playing catch with a guy. Like, I would expect him to look good.
Yeah.
It's when the pads get on, when things can get the physicality of the actual game steps in, that's where there's problems.
But like, I combine these two teams because they're two former players, outstanding players when they played, active coaches on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Vrabel is out there like pushing guys on the line of scrimmage. Like, that is who he is. Aaron Glenn, we've seen him. If anybody watched Hard Knocks, like he's in it. Dan and I talked to him in Indianapolis.
Waiting for an Uber.
He
was very upset. Uber took a while.
It did take a while.
Yeah.
Two-time All-Pro
Likes
player.
accountability.
Yeah. That's it. Two-time All-Pro player. Like, this guy played. He was really good in the NFL. Yeah. Probably a better all-around player than Vrabel than when he played. But I'm saying is these are guys that will get the respect.
Good debate.
Well, they will get the respect of the players right away.
Yes.
And I think in their places, Aaron Glenn and now Mike Vrabel are going to be very active with everything. They do have a little runway, right?
Yes.
They're new and these teams stunk. Okay. And I would say that, but I think both of those hires, if you look at where the Buffalo Bills are, were not great for the Bills because I think those are both good hires in the NFL.
I agree.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, you see that and you're like, ooh, that's a competent person leading a team.
Yeah.
But again, I go back to, like, I think Vrabel's a hell of a coach.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, Dan, name 3 players on the Patriots that aren't named Drake May. And it's like,
well,
Christian Gonzalez?
Yeah, they do.
You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, again, the NFL also does come down to talent. And I'm sitting there and it's like.
Now, look, they have Barmore, who's coming. He has blood clots. That was an issue for him. With Milton Williams, who they gave a lot of money to, very good player with the Eagles. That's a good place to build there on that defensive line. Like, they do have a few dudes. They just are going to have a revamped roster. I don't know how many
3.
How many new guys of the 53 that they ended the season with? It is get out, get in. All those draft picks are going to make it. Like, that is what you do in this first year.
That is.
It's a 2018 Bills.
Yeah.
Right?
2018? Yeah. He's the young quarterback.
Yes, in that case. So you can see where there will be progress, but Dan, you make the right point. Talent's going to make the difference. You know, build the culture and then go to the talent.
Yeah. Talent over everything. Well, not always.
Not always.
Culture has to be.
Culture, I feel like,
It's when talent and culture work together.
I want to interject something here. I don't like to interject.
No. That's rare.
I always hear people say culture and then they go, that word and whatever. No, that word is meaningful. That thing is meaningful. It is a very real thing with teams. If you don't like the word because you think it's overused, okay, I'll give you that. But I've heard people push back a little bit on culture of teams. I couldn't disagree more.
I agree.
I look at the Bills in that case. Yes, what makes them great and right on the edge is Josh Allen. But that culture is what's made them allow Josh Allen to not just be running around out there, to have a team that wins double-digit games and wins the division every year.
When I think of culture, I think a lot of times too of college athletics.
Yeah.
Like, there are cultures and programs that are legacy and they kind of repeat.
This is the way we do it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And you have coaches that get kids to buy in to the culture, the team, the school colors. It's a business once you get to the NFL. But when you can kind of build that same concept of it is easy, I think, and easier, maybe now with NIL money, I know it's getting a little bit skewed, but like to get 18, 19, 20-year-olds to buy in, it's easier as a coach. There's motivation, like things that money gets involved, things get murky. And when you can do that at an NFL level of building that college-like locker room, I think that's massive. And you hear the Bills players talk about it, what they have here, the culture, the environment, the place of winning,
and the accountability
and the standards.
That is the word in my head.
Yeah,
it's accountability, but it's not forced accountability.
It's accountability to the guy next to you.
Yeah.
It's that is what it is. And
you hope Vrabel, if you're those fans of Vrabel or the Patriots and the Jets, you're hoping that you have somebody that can motivate and bring teams in. It's what Detroit now all of a sudden is.
Yep.
They have a culture.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like this is who we're going to be.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm just thinking of the next thing we're going to talk about, and that is the Dolphins. And culture is not a word that comes to mind.
I was listening to a Dolphins podcast, and the host was asking, what would you want as a Dolphins fan? Do you want 8-9, 9-8 if everything goes well, or would you rather them be 4-13 and go rebuild this thing? I think you want 4-13. I'm telling you now, my prediction is Dolphins is the last place team in the AFC East. I think they're going to start breaking this thing down. I think the veterans that are there are going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them, they're going to try to lock in on the key players that they have. They do have some talented players. Some are, like Ramsey and Hill. Eventually, they're both going to be gone whenever that ends up happening. I don't think Tua is going to be around long, and I really think at some point they may be clearing house. This Dolphins thing went to this certain point and then failed. I really do believe with the restructuring of the other two teams, especially if Fields is decent, I think the Dolphins are the last place team.
I think there's so much talent there.
Definitely talent.
Like but we talk about the culture. Like they don't have one, and that's. I like Mike McDaniel. Like I like him a lot. Like I think McDaniels is a really good coach. I like. People think he's weird. I think it's.
Is he a great coach or is he a great head coach?
That's a great question.
I also think his offense is overrated. I think it gets figured out about halfway through the season every year. They don't do well in big spots. It's predictable.
But do you think some of that is on the
quarterback?
It is. I don't think he's got. Look, and everybody also, likes Tua as a dude.
Well, we talked about this before, and more on what would the Bills be without Josh? Tua is valuable in that offense, and what they've had. Tyler Huntley playing games.
Mike White.
They have nothing behind Tua, who is constantly concussed.
Now they do.
Ewers?
Wilson.
Oh, Zach Wilson. Yeah. I think people think it's a weird. McDaniels is a weird guy. Is it McDaniel or McDaniel?
McDaniel.
You got McDaniels in Foxborough. We should have mentioned that. Josh McDaniels.
And then
Mike McDaniel.
Is in Seattle.
It's Mike
McDonald.
Thank you. Big Mac.
There's the open.
No.
Okay.
Mike McDaniel
is the coach in Miami.
It's literally like some of your name, like
Daniel.
Thanks.
Hey, I will say
I like him.
I like him too. I find his story to be great. It's a redemption story and all those things.
He's very quirky.
He's not a great head coach.
But it's not like the example is who was the Dolphins' previous coach?
The guy that's Flores, Robert
Flores.
Yeah.
Who came up and changed. Like he from everything we've heard, he turned into a different guy and was a real jerk and got like a big head when he was in Miami. I think McDaniel has always been the core guy. You can go back and watch press conferences from when he was with the 49ers. Strange bird. Thinks of the game differently. I like that coaches are authentic to who they are because I think when they get to these positions, they think they need to be Belichick. And I like that McDaniels is who he is, and I like the offense.
You gave him an S again. I'm with you. I think all that is true. I just don't think he's a good enough head coach. And I don't think his offense It's a lot of moving around and a lot of stuff. It's not effective in big moments. And some of that certainly is on the quarterback. But when that quarterback's out of the game, it's really bad. I
that's
just
for
think
31 other teams.
He's got Hill and Waddle. He's had those. Got Achane in the backfield. Offensive line. But they did draft. They drafted Grant early, like adult picks, taking offensive and defensive line, I think is smart. My guess is this is not a great season for Miami. They clean house, and this franchise looks very different. They didn't sign any free agents. They didn't make any moves like that. They're going to bite the bullet on a couple of these big contracts, and some young players are going to play. And sometimes maybe that ends up being better.
Well,
I just don't think it's a good team.
Well, I think part of that is like when you have the bad eggs there of guys that just aren't pulling the rope the same way. It's better in that case to have less talent and have guys that are let's all just right. Like I think of Ramsey. Like I don't think he's into it. I don't think he's buying into the culture, and that permeates through a locker room. That sinks ships. And
I think Jordan Poyer from the Bills saw that firsthand when he was down there. Like,
now part of that is on McDaniel. Like part of that is on him making sure that there are no leaks in the ship and things like that. And you got to nip those kind of things in the bud. But I don't think he nailed it.
Yeah. Let's have a moment of silence for that.
Just nailed that.
I heard it going. I was like, please, please, please.
Yeah.
He hit it.
Yeah, like that's on him as a coach. And I don't know. It's tough once you've lost that.
Yeah.
To get it back.
I agree.
But I think when he went in there and it was a little bit of that Sean in the sense of be who you are with us. Like I be like, hey, Tyreek, if this is what you do and all these things, like that's fine.
Well, maybe not with Tyreek.
What I'm saying is there has to be a line. There has to be a line. And sometimes that line is crossed.
Okay. So my division, Bills still win it. I don't know if it'll be as disparate as it was last year where it was over.
They have the best odds.
They have the best odds. They're going to win the division.
Like they have the best odds to win the division, and they have the best odds in the NFL to win their division.
To win their division, yes. And so I think the Bills win it. I think the games get tougher.
Aunt Jenna's best bets.
These teams are going to be tougher, but it's the Bills with a substantial lead. Jets and Patriots fighting for the other spot. Dolphins in fourth place is my pick. What do you got?
Bills, Jets, Dolphins, Patriots.
Yeah, I don't think the Dolphins will be as bad as you think. Where did you go?
Bills, Jets, Dolphins, Patriots. I looked at talent eventually when it came down to it.
I'll co-sign that.
Mike thinks the Dolphins will be ass.
Well, all you did was flip the Dolphins from last place to third place.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not that big of a difference. I think they're going to actively be saying, we are rebuilding. We're looking in that division, especially if Drake May is pretty good.
And the
they're going to be like,
don't know.
Okay.
Or the Dolphins don't know. They don't know if they're supposed to hit the reset button or keep kicking this can down the road.
Yeah.
With Tua and this offense.
And just because where they finish doesn't mean the lasting impression won't be different. Like the Dolphins could finish third to last in the division, but you're like, hey, the Patriots, they finished last, but they got pieces, they're building, they have all that. Whereas the Dolphins are like, the floor is falling out.
The Dolphins could have 6 or 7 wins and be like, it's time to gut this thing. And the Patriots could have 5 and be like, hey, watch out next year. The Patriots are putting some things together.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
no question. No question.
All right. Anything else?
No, this is fun. I like talking about the other teams, and I think we'll do this. This is a regular video, part of our entire array of podcasts on the Buffalo Plus channel.
A buffet on the Buffalo
Our
Plus.
Buffalo Plus portfolio.
Wow.
So we have Uncle Dan's.
Spell it.
Oh, no.
PORTIFILO.
I don't know. You went too fast.
I thought you were
PORTIFILO. Portfolio.
PORTFOLIO.
Can I get the country of origin, please?
Can you use it in a sentence?
So we do during the season. We have Uncle Dan's best bets, and now we have Aunt Jenna's best bets.
No,
that's not good.
I'm not. What? It's aunt.
Aunt.
I say
in
aunt.
the comments. Is it aunt? I don't know how
say
you
aunt
or aunt.
It's spelled A-U-N-T, not A-N-T. Aunt. Like, you don't call auntie?
No.
Okay. Well, you're also like older. That'd be weird.
That's a pretty old thing to say. Would
Yeah.
be auntie.
No, like growing up, like Auntie Ellen, Auntie Sarah.
Where did you grow up on like?
No,
on
like in Massachusetts, you say auntie.
Oh my God.
And that's where my aunties lived.
Is this a bit?
No, it's not. I swear. I said, I say
Auntie May.
Yeah,
what are we doing on
like driving Miss Daisy?
You know that I say aunt.
Now my brain's broken.
You already knew that.
No, but you didn't just say aunt. You said auntie.
Yeah, when I was a little kid, you'd say auntie.
If you want to say
auntie,
aunt, that's fine. The auntie is like southern.
I haven't said auntie in a while, but growing up as a kid, I would say, you wouldn't say your auntie.
Aunt Debbie.
Oh, well, shit. But when you were a little kid, you were like Auntie Debbie. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
I had an Aunt Minnie, and my wife had an Aunt Shorty.
Oh, Aunt Shorty?
Well, it goes. It's like a little different now.
Aunt Shorty. Shorty is a cute nickname.
Yeah, Aunt Shorty. And
what was
Aunt
her
Minnie.
real name?
I have no idea.
Just Shorty.
Shorty.
Super tall woman.
Yeah, she's 6'11".
Just checking in on my wife just behind the curtains. I said, making sure everything's okay. She's picking up the kids from my parents' house. I said, is everything okay? She goes, yeah, we're just leaving your parents. And of course, we forgot a keychain on Shane's backpack. She had to turn around and go back and get it because if Shane doesn't have something, my 4-year-old, the day's ruined.
She runs the house.
Dang.
So she could have been 30 minutes away from my parents' house. We would have had to turn back around or deal with
I
World
will
War
turn
III.
this car around.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for watching.
And thank our sponsor.
Yes, thank you to Stellar. We appreciate it. Thank you for watching The League, presented by Stellar Roofing, Windows, and Siding. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching the Buffalo Plus channel, presented by Connors and Ferris.
Auntie Jenna.
Auntie.